Our story begins on a night when the world seemed to be weeping. A torrential, unrelenting rain had turned the city streets into shallow, swirling rivers. The streetlights cast long, distorted reflections on the water's surface, painting a scene that was both beautiful and bleak. People were rushing home, their heads bowed under umbrellas, their only thought to escape the deluge. But amidst that rushing, something caught my eye. It was a tiny shadow, moving with a desperate, uncertain purpose against the current of the flooding street. It was a kitten, soaked to the bone, its fur plastered to its tiny frame, making it look even smaller, even more fragile. Each step was a monumental effort as the water, already ankle-deep, tried to pull it under. It was Dodam, searching, perhaps for a home it once knew, or a mother it had lost. My heart ached with a profound sense of injustice. This little creature, who should have been curled up in a warm bed, being adored, protected, and cherished, was instead fighting a lonely, terrifying battle for its life on a cold, indifferent street. It was a soldier in a war it never signed up for. In a world of billions of people, this kitten was utterly, devastatingly alone. But not anymore. The moment I saw it, the decision was made. I waded into the cold water, the rain plastering my own clothes to my skin, but I barely noticed. My entire world had narrowed to that one shivering shadow. I scooped it up. It was so light, so cold. It barely felt real. There was no fight in it, only a weak, resigned tremor. As I held it, a question flickered in my mind, a cynical voice of doubt. Is it too late? Should I even dare to hope for a creature this far gone? But looking at that tiny, determined face, hope wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. I wrapped it immediately in the jacket I was wearing, creating a small, dark, warm cave against the roaring storm. The journey home was a blur of purpose. Once inside, the first order of business was to banish the cold. I carefully unwrapped my tiny refugee and enveloped it in a thick, dry towel. I rubbed gently, trying to bring life back into its frigid limbs. Then came the soft, warm hum of a hairdryer on its lowest setting, a gentle breeze that promised a world without rain. The kitten was too young, too weak for solid food. So, I prepared a small bottle of warm kitten formula. As I held the bottle to its mouth, it latched on with a surprising strength, a testament to the fierce will to live that had kept it going through the storm. It drank, and with every drop, I felt a little bit of the cold night melt away from my own heart. The days that followed were a quiet testament to the healing power of warmth, food, and safety. The kitten, which I began to call Stormy, started to transform. The terrified, half-drowned creature I had found began to disappear, replaced by a playful, curious kitten. The dull, wet fur became a soft, fluffy coat. The haunted look in its eyes was replaced by a bright, mischievous spark. But the most beautiful part of Stormy's recovery wasn't just physical. One day, I noticed something incredible. My older cat, a quiet, majestic soul, had taken a special interest in the newcomer. At first, she watched from a distance, but soon she began to approach, giving Stormy a gentle sniff, then a soft, rumbling purr. Before I knew it, Stormy had found a new mother. It would follow my older cat everywhere, curling up beside her to sleep, mimicking her movements, learning from her how to be a cat in a world that was now safe and full of love. The orphan of the storm had found a family. While the orange cat's journey to us was a silent, desperate limp into the daylight, our second story begins with a sound in the dead of night. It was late. The world was quiet, wrapped in the deep, velvet silence of the hours just before dawn. I was walking back to my car in a nearly empty parking lot, the only sound the crunch of my own footsteps. And then I heard it, a tiny, frantic mew 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 that cut through the silence like a needle. It was the unmistakable cry of a lost kitten. I pulled out my phone, its flashlight beam cutting a sharp cone through the darkness. I swept the light across the lot, under cars, behind pillars. The crying grew louder, more insistent. And there, huddled behind the tire of a large SUV, was a tiny ball of fluff. It was so small, it seemed impossible that such a loud, desperate sound could come from such a tiny body. It was all alone, crying for a mother who was nowhere to be found. My heart broke for it, to be so new to the world, only to be separated from the one source of warmth, safety, and comfort you have ever known. It's a terror I can't even begin to imagine. A life of soft purrs and a warm belly had been violently replaced by cold asphalt and a terrifying, lonely darkness. I knew I couldn't leave it, but catching a frightened kitten is never easy. As I approached, it saw my large, shadowy form and darted deeper under the car. It was terrified of the very person who was trying to help. I knelt down, speaking in the softest, most reassuring voice I could manage. "It's okay, little one. I'm not going to hurt you." After a few minutes of patient coaxing and a slow, careful reach, my fingers finally brushed against its soft fur. I gently scooped it up and brought it into the warmth and light of my car. The moment it was safe, a switch flipped. The terrified, hiding creature vanished, and a tiny, rambunctious agent of chaos was born. I offered it a little bit of food and water I had in my car, and it devoured them. Then, its belly full, it decided my car was the world's best jungle gym. It climbed the seats, batted at the gear shift, tried to scale the dashboard, and explored every nook and cranny with a boundless, fearless energy. The tiny, pathetic cry from the parking lot had been replaced by the happy sounds of a kitten at play. To be safe, our first real stop the next day was the vet. The kitten continued its reign of playful terror in the exam room, climbing the vet, exploring the equipment, and charming every single person it met. The vet gave it a thorough checkup, eyes, ears, teeth, belly, everything, and declared it to be a perfectly healthy, albeit incredibly mischievous, little creature. The ride home was another adventure. At first, the kitten did not appreciate the concept of a pet carrier. It clawed at the mesh, demanding to be set free. I relented, and it immediately resumed its happy exploration of my car. But something funny happened. After a while, it seemed to tire of its freedom. It went back to the open carrier on its own, curled up on the soft blanket inside, nibbled on some kibble I had put in there, and promptly fell fast asleep. I glanced over at the stoplight. There, in the carrier beside me, was this tiny creature, sleeping the deep, peaceful sleep of the truly safe. Its little chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. It was a perfect, tiny angel, a stark contrast to the little devil who had been climbing my headrests just minutes before. Looking at it then, I sent a wish out into the night. May every lost kitten crying in the dark be lucky enough to find a human willing to stop and listen. May they all find a warm car, a full belly, and a safe place to finally, peacefully, fall asleep.